How's it going, Melissa?
It's going. It's going
Are
well.
you liking your job? You're not hating life yet?
You know, it's not too bad. It's kind of just a typical, 9-to-5 office bullshit, but, I don't hate it, so,
Yeah.
I got my mind elsewhere. Elsewheres.
Find your happy place. Woo-saw.
Musa, exactly.
All right, I got your recording. Everything sounds good, so let's jump into this. Welcome
All right,
to... Don't cut me off! Welcome to Sequel Productions Batcast. This is our third one, and I'm Matthew Bonta.
I'm Melissa Bonta.
And with us...
Joining you on the phone is Dakota Kimes.
There we go. A lot of people had trouble introducing themselves.
Because Matt would point at the phone.
I don't point at it. I just assume that they're gonna chime in.
Hey, I have a FaceTime thing on my phone. We could do that. But then it wouldn't really do anything for the podcast, so never mind.
It's true. So, Dakota, are you excited about The Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like my favorite set of comic book movies, my favorite trilogy coming to a close. I'm super excited.
Ever.
How come Batman Begins and The Dark Knight suck so much?
How do you think that they suck? There's no way. They were awesome.
Well, Melissa seems to have problems.
I do not think that they suck. We rewatched Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and I was picking out little things, and I was like, that's ridiculous, that's inconsistent, that is silly, but I don't think they suck by any means. I think it's the best so far. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, comparatively to any other Batman movie ever made, I mean, it's leaps and bounds better.
Yeah, for sure. I agree.
And if you look at it, not nitpicking, individual things, just as a movie, as a pair of good movies, overall, I mean...
They're awesome.
I don't know why they didn't... Yeah, I didn't know why they didn't win Academy Awards, I'll be honest.
Well, I think The Dark Knight definitely won for Best Supporting Actor with Heath Ledger. I don't know if it won for any kind of visual effects or music or editing. It may have picked up a couple of those. But
Some of them fair ones.
yeah, and it was a big source of controversy, why wasn't it nominated for Best Picture?
Because people have this stigma against people dressing up in a suit and going out and fighting crime. It's superhero. They still think it's, it's silly, it's
Childish.
stuff. Yeah. Which is ridiculous because The Dark Knight, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were not made for children at all. They were made for
Yeah, they were made for the guys who grew up watching this,
Yeah, and the Academy just doesn't recognize that because they're bullshit.
They are bullshit. But let's talk about the problems we have with those movies.
I got none, so you guys take over this part. I will say nothing.
Oh, well, I know that you and Melissa have had epic battles about this.
It's true.
I want it to be on the internet. So, Melissa...
It's the stuff that ruins friendships.
This is good stuff, though. So let's talk about Batman Begins.
Okay.
What I don't like about it is he's not Batman for half the movie, if not more.
But if you look at it from the standpoint of a trilogy, that's necessary. That needs to happen. You get a great sense, and it allows you to connect with the purpose of what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And I think that they're going to continue that in The Dark Knight Rises. I mean, I don't know why they would. That's the whole setup for the entire trilogy.
Definitely, I agree with you there 100%. But going back and trying to watch Batman Begins was almost impossible.
No way! What about that movie?
It's hard to get through that first half. I'm constantly waiting for him to become Batman.
Yeah.
But
That makes sense.
we fell asleep trying to watch Batman Begins, and then when we put on The Dark Knight the other night, and it was late, we were in our, on the edge of our seats watching that
Yeah.
whole thing. Didn't even, we might have been tired, but we didn't fall asleep. It kept us gripped.
Yeah, this may not help my case, but when I ditched the podcast earlier that week, when I told you I fell asleep, I was watching Batman Begins. And I passed out the first half of the movie.
Exactly.
Very docile movie.
But here we are podcasting now, finally.
Yeah, sorry. Everyone who was waiting so patiently to hear my smooth baritone.
They're like, when's that Dakota one gonna be posted? I'm waiting for that one. That's intense.
Every time
People.
I mention you on Facebook, Dakota, I have to tag Nicole in the post.
Oh, yeah, this is Nicole. Wait, what? You don't want to link it to Dakota Vasselhoff?
I'm not friends with Dakota Vasselhoff on Facebook because I thought that was stupid.
Fair enough. I guess it's still going on.
How does it feel to be mocked by your peers as Dakota Vasselhoff?
I think it's pretty stupid.
Caricature of myself.
I shaved
I gotta
Charlie.
appreciate when things are funny.
I shaved Charlie. Yeah.
You're fat?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was getting clumps because he's too big to reach the certain spots to clean himself.
Yeah.
So it was all clumpy, so I gave him a haircut.
Anyways, Dark Knight Rises.
Dark Knight Rises was awesome. So Batman Begins. My
Dark
my
Knight
biggest
Rises
problem
was awesome.
is. Did I say Dark Knight Rises was
You
awesome?
sure did.
Whoops. Don't know about that yet. So yeah, my biggest problem with Batman Begins is it's getting through that first half of the movie. It's hard going back and watching it. Watching The Dark Knight, I hate the stuff with that guy that's trying to blackmail Bruce Wayne.
Why do you hate it?
I mean, in the movie, it has certain beats to it that lead up to other stuff that make it make sense. But I felt that they could have just taken it out because I just didn't like it.
I think that Christopher Nolan put that in the movie just to maintain that connection to Bruce Wayne. Because if you look at any other Batman movies, it's like, oh, he reveals that he's Batman, and it's Batman, 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 Batman. And there's no real going back to Bruce Wayne and connecting to the person that is behind the symbol, which is what the entire movie is about.
Right, and it's
And
also...
I think that in the first movie, like, it's... You gotta dedicate yourself to becoming a symbol and being more than yourself. And I don't know, I think it's crucial to reconnect with Bruce Wayne.
I think it's also the whole idea of the volatility behind being Batman, because he has to work so hard to protect his identity, because that could kind of bring it all crashing down. So, like in the comics where people are kind of, not in the same context, but people are trying to bring him down by finding who his secret identity is, it shows, that's just another level of why it's difficult to be Batman.
Right. Someone's bound to find out.
Right.
Not just a villain.
Right, and it would be kind of ridiculous to go 2 whole movies with everyone being like, duh, we don't know who Batman is, when, he's using the company's money. Well, I guess...
Because, at least in my memory, and correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, because you were like the encyclopedia of movies.
I'll do my best.
I don't think that there's ever been a Batman trilogy attempted, and to kind of hold that interest throughout the whole series. That's a big thing.
Well, the first 4 movies were all taking place in the same lineup. It's real easy just to cut off after Batman Returns and just say those 2 are their own, the next 2 are their own, but it does all happen.
There's no like intermeshing storylines, like, oh, that was over and now this is happening, and that was over and now this is happening, where this has the underlying story. Like, you do have like the fight with each individual villain and the difficulties you go through with that, but linking these three movies together is that connection to Bruce Wayne.
It's true. You're right. There is no...
so, I mean, it's a true trilogy in the sense of, like, being a true set of three movies where the three movies fit almost seamlessly together.
Right. You're right. Because, like you were saying, the other movies don't have ramifications from one movie to the next, or from the last.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but, I mean, I just think that the things that you guys are complaining about in the first two movies are crucial to get that sense of that everything's connected, and they roll over. The things that don't seem important when you're watching Batman Begins roll over into The Dark Knight, and the things that don't seem important when you're watching The Dark Knight, I think, are going to show their face in The Dark Knight Rises.
You're absolutely correct. I mean, you know, it all that stuff is crucial, but like when I go to sit down and watch the movie, it's like, oh god, this
gotta
part.
Get through it to get to the rest of it.
Damn.
Well prayed.
So, did you saw the Avengers, right?
Oh, dude, yeah, twice in theaters.
Okay, and did you see Spider-Man?
Not the new one, no. I had no interest. I honestly believe that Tobey Maguire has ruined Spider-Man for me. And Nicole agrees.
What the fuck is going on over there?
What's that?
I said, what the fuck is going on over there?
What do you mean?
You got
Yelling.
people chiming in from the background?
Yes.
Yeah, that's Nicole.
So you
agreeing
said
that Tobey Maguire sucks.
I would like to point out, and one is well Madness, that Tobey Maguire is that kid in high school, like that was in high school that you just want to stalk. Because he's such a goddamn person, he's so fucking sensitive. Nobody wants to see that boy, that's what his girl for.
Did you hear that?
A little bit. It is garbled.
I guess Tobey Maguire is that kid in high school that everybody wanted to punch because he's such a pussy.
Yes. So that was my problem with the original Spider-Man. I thought, like, overall, cool, it's a cute little comic book movie, but I don't fucking buy Tobey Maguire as going out, putting on a suit, and fighting people. And this new one, I totally buy it. The new guy, he's awesome. He's like a punk. He doesn't have any friends. Nobody likes him. And so it's totally believable that he would go off on his own and do his own thing, which Spider-Man does. It's awesome.
See, the thing that, like, I didn't like about the old Spider-Man movies is he was just very woe is me about getting superpowers, which I don't think is a realistic reaction, getting superpowers ever.
Exactly.
Like, I could find out that I could shoot web out of my wrists and swing, and I had super strength, and I would shit my pants. I would be so excited.
Well,
Right.
I wouldn't be crying about it.
back in the day when I used to get Wizard magazine on a monthly basis, they'd always do like a top 10 comic book characters of the month. And in the top 3, it was usually Batman, Wolverine, or Spider-Man. And Spider-Man, I think one time they did like the greatest 100 of all time. And Spider-Man got number 1, Batman got number 2, and it was always because Spider-Man, Peter Parker, has to deal with his own issues. He's in high school, or he's in the real world working on a job, trying to make money, trying to pay the rent, and, you know, take responsibility for the powers that he has to do good.
Yeah.
That
I
doesn't
can totally
explain.
agree with that, but I don't think the portrayal... I don't know, I just wish that in the first 3 movies with Tobey Maguire, they would have taken a different approach with it, you know what I'm saying? Rather than, like, woe is me, show him kind of bucking up and not being a huge boy pussy about it.
You know, Dakota, it sounds like you should see the new one. Because I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. If that was your main problem with the old one, you should see the new one.
Because I dug Spider-Man, like as a comic book character, he's super cool.
Yeah, for sure. He's
But
witty,
I
and
just
he's...
don't think that was an... Yeah, I just don't think that was an accurate depiction of what, like, in my mind's eye, Peter Parker would have acted like, if that makes any sense.
I get it, yeah.
See the new one. make some time, see the new one. I think you'll
Yeah.
like it.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, you could wait until it comes out on video.
What?
That's not one of those, like, you gotta see it in theaters.
No, because, the biggest complaint is that it's a lot like the original one.
But it's not.
It's not. It's
so
not.
different. It's got a different tone. Like, completely. It's different.
It does, but...
Lizard Man, though. I was pretty stoked on that when they brought him out.
He's okay.
He's okay?
He's okay.
I think it's good. I think it works out to be a good...
They should have put some pants on him or something.
I don't know. I like it.
Has ruined any other comic book movie ever for me, though. That was just like 2 hours of me, my brain just going crazy, like, oh my god, that was awesome, oh god, that was awesome. Like, it was the perfect balance of, like, just a good comic book interpretation, and it translated to the movie very, very well. Like, they made it funny, they made all the characters relatable, and you already have these established relationships with, 3 of the characters?
You're talking about Avengers?
Yeah.
Which 3?
Hulk, Captain America, and Iron Man.
Yeah, because there's that dynamic there. They're also different.
And Thor.
Yeah, but Thor's from another planet.
You know what I didn't like about the Avengers? They didn't keep continuity with the previous movies. Like they left some gaps, because at the end of Thor, the Rainbow Bridge is destroyed. He doesn't know how he's going to get back to Earth. Suddenly you're watching Avengers, and out of nowhere, Thor comes crashing down to take Loki, and they never explain how he got there.
That's very true. Very, very true.
And at the end of...
Are they making a Thor 2?
They are making a Thor 2. At Comic-Con this weekend, they presented a whole bunch of teaser posters for what the next lineup is going to be.
What are we looking at?
So you've got Captain America, the Winter Soldier.
That'll be sick.
You've got Thor. I don't remember what the subtitle was for that.
Wasn't it Galaxy something? Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, then there's going to be a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. You've got Iron Man 3, and then you've got an Ant-Man movie.
They're making an Ant-Man movie?
They're making an Ant-Man movie. And
Hell yeah.
it's going to be Edgar Wright's doing it. Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim.
Really?
Yep.
He's going to be
Directing.
Ant-Man?
No, he's directing it.
Oh, okay.
The director.
I don't know how that was.
Yeah, the director of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz is doing Ant-Man.
So it's kind of blasphemy that you called this Batcast, and we're talking all about Marvel.
It's okay. But anyways, getting back to my original question. You saw Avengers, and it broke all sorts of box office records. It did like $1 billion really fucking fast, like the first weekend or something. Do you think The Dark Knight Rises will be able to break that record?
With that? I think that before that, wasn't The Dark Knight King of the Castle on that?
Yes, The Dark Knight did. The Dark Knight made $1 billion, and then of course, like Twilight and the next Harry Potter came out, breaking that record. But Avengers, so far, I think has the biggest opening.
I think they may be able to do it because, like I said, people are interested to see what happens next.
Yeah.
And I think that what the big hype with the Avengers was where you had multiple movies leading into that big collaboration.
And then, so the draw, which we brought up before the other podcast, the draw for The Dark Knight Rises is nobody knows what the fuck's going to happen.
That's the other, because I guess I was watching some trailers on it online, and I guess this takes place 8 years later.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like this is several years later. So I mean, there's going to be very few, I guess, hindrances where they have to worry about continuity, and they have to worry about, like, oh, well, this has to happen, so this can happen. They can just explain, like, in the last 8 years, this has gone on. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
True, yeah.
I think that it kind of frees up the storyline for Christopher Nolan to really wow us.
Yeah, and when we talked to Greg, we went over all of our theories of what could possibly go on in the movie. We went over all the footage that we'd seen and talked about certain scenes and what the fuck is going to happen.
I'm interested to see Bane as an intelligent character, I gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Because I don't read the comic books as much as you guys, but I always got the impression from what I did read that he's just like the brute, he's the muscle.
Well, in the comic books, he is basically Batman's equal. And then because he's pumped up on Venom, he's his physical superior.
So in the comics, he is pretty intelligent.
Master strategist, because he spent his entire life in prison just, getting all this knowledge and just wanting to get out of prison and make it his stamp, and he's going to start with Batman.
That's awesome. I'm so fucking excited. I'm going with my dad opening day, and probably Nicole. Probably end up dragging her with me.
You going at night or in the morning?
We'll probably go like midday, because everybody will still be at work, and I'm hoping the lines won't be absolutely insane.
Well, I mentioned this to both Greg and Jeff. We bought our tickets 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah, like 3 weeks ago.
The midnight showing was sold out, so we got the 3:30 a.m. showing.
You're gonna go at 3:30 a.m. to go watch this?
We wanted midnight, which would have been the first showing, so we just picked the next one.
So that means Friday morning I'm going to see The Dark Knight Rises, and I'm literally going to go straight to work.
Lots and lots of coffee.
Because it's going to be a 2-hour and 45-minute movie.
If you can get your hands on some crack, I'd do that too.
Yes. Well, liquid crack. I can have some Monster, so there's that. It's insane, and I don't know. We're stoked.
Are you guys pumped on it?
Yeah, we can't
definitely.
even
That's what all
believe-
these podcasts are for. We've only gotten to 3 so far, obviously. But, we're like, why don't we just podcast and talk about this movie and how excited we are and just kind of lead the way to ultimately the movie at the end of the week.
The problem I have with the marketing of this movie is, like, you think back to The Dark Knight, and we were totally on top of that. And they were having stuff on the internet and special things where, like, you would get a phone call and then hear the Joker's voice or whatever. They were having all kinds of stuff.
The viral marketing.
For the viral marketing of the movie. For The Dark Knight Rises, I've seen trailers, and that's it. And there's no special...
Do you think that
What's that?
Do you think that was on purpose to kind of like, because the hype's already there? The Dark Knight was one of the best comic book movies ever, and I mean, it's so revered, and the acting in it is so good, that there's already anticipation for the next one.
Yeah, and you know what, honestly,
I know,
didn't
personally,
need to...
I left the theater after The Dark Knight and was like, I need to see the next one now. Like,
yeah, as I'm sure everyone did, yeah.
Since I watched the first one, like, there's the second one of the trilogy.
And you know what? I totally get that. Like, I see, why would they invest in marketing when these people, they're already going? You could probably give them a teaser trailer and even get more interest in it. You wouldn't even need to put together a whole trailer for this movie, because it's a trilogy. It's wrapping everything up. So much anticipation and fandom and just people wanting to see it. So, like, I get that. It's just weird because we've kind of been making our own hype then. We didn't need someone telling us to be excited about it. We were doing these podcasts and talking about it all the time and dissecting these trailers. So it's funny the way that we've been making our own.
All right, real quick, let's wrap up.
That's free marketing. That's cheap marketing for them.
Yeah, it's genius.
All right, this is the end of part 1. So, come back for part 2. And we're back for part 2.
All right.
Smart. It's been 3 days. We saw The Dark Knight Rises.
Oh, I know, right?
And it was terrible. It was like, God,
shut
bad
up.
acting and
Movie ever.
bad.
Anne Hathaway ruined that movie. She was too beautiful to be there.
Oh, jeez. All right, so one question that I've been asking everybody, Dakota, besides the box office record, do you think Batman is going to be killed off in this movie?
Yes, I totally do.
Yes, most definitely.
What's
Okay.
your theory?
Because it'll bring the symbol thing full circle. I think that'll be a good way to do it. Kill him off and letting him know, like, showing that legacy of the symbol that he was lives on.
Okay, so
Although
I have
he
2
died.
questions. How do you think he's gonna die?
Not sure. I think there's multiple ways that he could do it tastefully. Do it tastefully, not Bruce Wayne, but I don't know if Bane's going to kill him or not. And I think that I don't know. There's so many ways to do it.
So, if he does die, do you think someone else will take up the mantle?
If you watch the trailers, and at least like from what I've seen, in his absence of the 8 years, there have been people taking up his mantle. Like, that's why Catwoman is coming into the picture now. Like, she's been taking that responsibility in his leave of absence.
Okay, let's talk
Interesting.
about this real quick. This has not come up
And we haven't talked about Catwoman, like, at all.
because she's barely a presence. So, where do you get the impression that Catwoman has been doing stuff?
In the trailers that I've seen, she's the one who comes to him and warns him of Bane coming. Like, she's obviously been putting in work to figure out what's going on, and she's like kind of had her ear to the streets, for lack of a better expression, just kind of listening to what's going on and knowing that they're gonna, like, Gotham City is gonna need Batman soon. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, so you're going off the assumption that Catwoman is going to be kind of the good side of Catwoman in The Dark Knight Rises.
You can see scenes in some of the trailers that I've seen where her and Batman are fighting side by side. I mean, I think that's...
And
Yeah.
they're riding in a car together. And
It won't be the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. It'll be the Alex Catwoman.
Well, you know, part of the dynamic of Catwoman in the comics is that she walks the very fine line between good guy and bad guy, and like she's never only on one side. And I'm personally interested to see how Nolan approaches that. If he will turn her into just a good guy and then that's it, or if there will be that dynamic still.
From what I've seen, it looks like she is part of Bane's crew. That's the impression I get.
That she shows up kind of like the Joker did at his party when she's talking to him, like, "Hey, motherfucker, we're coming for you."
Well, like, I think there's a shot where I like to compare this to Schindler's List when it looks like thugs or something are going into houses and pulling people from underneath beds and underneath dressers. And then there's a shot where people are throwing stuff, I don't know if it's people or like merchandise, over a balcony to the floor below. And I'm pretty sure I thought I saw her down there kind of insinuating that she's with those thugs who I can only assume are Bane's crew. I could be wrong.
We may be wrong. We're all wrong.
That's the thing.
That's
Because
the
we've
draw.
talked so much about it that, I mean, we've got to be right on some counts. We had to have gotten something right that we don't already know. But there's going to be so much that we got wrong.
But when I heard the Joker was coming out in The Dark Knight, like, I didn't expect what we got. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
I expected that to a degree, but I mean, just the depth that they gave to the Joker, I mean, and I'm expecting nothing less than that from any of the characters here. The unpredictability and the, I don't know, just the raw depth. And they've got another amazing team of actors to go on this project, and I mean, I can't expect anything less than absolutely amazing.
I'm with you there.
That's true. So it'll be really unfortunate if it's not.
If it sucks.
I don't think it's gonna suck. I don't think it can.
Christopher Nolan's getting a big old bag of poop on his front doorstep from me.
He didn't even want to do a third movie.
But what's that?
He didn't even want to do a third movie. Or so he says.
come?
What's that?
How come? I mean, the end of The Dark Knight, I mean, that's pretty open-ended. I don't know why you wouldn't want to do a third movie.
I just think he just wanted to move on to do other movies.
But you gotta
How
complete
can you be
it.
over this? I mean, this is like the best work that I've ever seen, at least knowing it was Christopher Nolan, but I'm not really a movie buff.
Well, I mean, this is good stuff. So, I mean, you know, it's, you know, it's all about what movies people like. Like, I was trying to tell Melissa the other day that every movie is somebody's favorite movie.
That's true.
And it doesn't matter if Citizen Kane is considered the greatest movie ever made, because it doesn't matter when it comes down to, you know, someone may hate that movie and they may love fucking, you know, Who's Your Caddy?
Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
Legally Blonde.
It's my favorite movie.
And to that person who loves Legally Blonde's their favorite movie, that's the only movie that really matters to them. Who cares about what somebody else says about Citizen Kane?
It's very inspirational, that little speech of yours. I mean, it's not really valid, because when it comes down to, like, who cares, well, it matters to the filmmakers because they have to make money to go on to make their next movie. So whether a lot of people versus a few people consider it a great movie does matter.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be someone's favorite movie for them to go see it and like it.
Right, very true. But
I also think that, like, at least with me personally, I like to finish things, and if something's left open-ended, I like to wrap it up. And I think that if Christopher Nolan were to walk away from the Dark Knight series after the Dark Knight, it would not be done.
Right. It would fucking suck.
would have been blasphemy.
Yeah, some other guy would have picked it up 15 years from now and ruined the series.
Well, they're going to reboot it anyways.
But it's different.
I don't think that they will be able to touch what Christopher Nolan has done with the character.
They definitely, you're right. They probably won't be able to. I don't think they'll be able to do better than what's happened with this, but they're going to start over in hopes of copying Marvel and start getting a Justice League going.
Well, it's going to be a different type of thing. I mean, this was in a league of its own. You know, Batman in this universe is in our universe. You know, Superman doesn't exist in this Batman's universe. None of these guys exist. So it's totally on its own. And rebooting it is fine because they'll be able to introduce all these great characters into it and make a Justice League movie and be true to the comics.
Make it more comic book like you want, because
I want to see. I don't hate them. I want to see a true to comic film like Marvel did so well with all of their characters. Well, maybe they didn't do so well, but they came close. They came closer than DC has ever come. So I just want to see that.
I think that if they do a Justice League movie, people are going to expect The Dark Knight.
Yes, they are.
They're going to see Batman, and they're like, oh, yeah, dude, they're going to get stoked on that, and it's going to be a huge disappointment. I think the reason why the Avengers was so successful is because they had 5 movies under their belt going into it that tied into that made these characters, real. It gave them backstory.
It made it worth watching. The Avengers. Because if they just made the Avengers, without all the other ones before it, it's like, okay, it's cool.
It wouldn't make any sense. Like, yeah, there's some cool shit going on, but like, who's that guy and who's that guy and who's that guy and who's that guy?
But see, they're trying to do that now. That's why they're rebooting Batman, and you've got another Superman movie coming out, and I think they're gonna try and put out some other stuff.
So it's not like the next DC movie that's going to come out is going to be Justice League.
I don't think so, but when we were talking to Greg, he made it sound like they already have the Justice League cast.
But aren't they like in the production of Superman?
Yeah, it's Superman. They're filming it, and I guess I think they showed footage at Comic-Con, and some good stuff.
So that seems like to be like the only way to do it, because you've got to give everybody's story before you can put them all together and then have them team up. It's not like Bruce Wayne woke up one day and was like, I want to join a league. Let me go find it.
Yeah, and you're looking at him, and it's not whoever that guy who plays the Dark Knight is, or Bruce Wayne.
Christian Bale?
Yeah, Christian Bale. If it's not Christian Bale, people are going to look like, who the fuck is this guy? Like,
Right, exactly.
Out of nowhere, yeah.
Exactly.
But they're probably going to go with some younger dude.
As they should.
Like
They should.
Justin Bieber.
Not.
but I just
no.
want to. I just don't want to see another Batman Forever. You know what I'm saying?
And I don't think it will.
Whoa.
I think
Batman Forever is an okay movie. Batman and Robin is not so good.
it's the whole thing.
You
whole
suck,
franchise
Dakota.
at that time.
But what I'm saying is, like, comparatively to what they've done with Batman, they can't. Like, people are going to go expecting that. They're not going to go expecting them to kind of relapse, for lack of a better word,
So you're
to
saying,
the
Dakota.
style of Batman movie.
So what you're
They're
saying?
expecting depth. They're expecting characters. They're expecting, like, to have an intimate knowledge of who this person is.
Warner Brothers, you heard it here first, folks. Dakota says, don't make another Batman movie.
And Melissa Bonta says, please
make
go
another-
ahead, do it. Thank you.
Don't make another Batman movie in the old style that you did. I'm just saying that it won't be as largely popular as
No, I mean, as a
the current Batman
fan,
movies are good movies. If you take the Batman element out of it, if you just made him a normal guy, he didn't dress up like a bat. That's a good movie.
It's like Death
right.
Wish.
Which, I mean, personally, like, as a comic book fan, the reason why this whole Christopher Nolan trilogy doesn't complete Batman for me is because he isn't a part of the universe. And in the comic books, he's got, you know, Superman is right there. You know, they bicker and all that, and it's a part of all of the characters coming together and being in the same universe. And Christopher Nolan cuts Batman off from all of that and says, no, you're off here, you're in a real setting. And as a comic book fan, I am really looking forward to seeing Batman on the same screen as Superman, on the same screen as Green Arrow, and all of these great big hitters in the DC universe. And that is the main draw for me.
I can totally agree with you on that. It's not a comic book movie. And I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah. And it is, and I think that was Christopher Nolan's idea, is bring it down to earth, make it real, make it almost relatable in, you know, the way that these
Where the things that are going on are entirely plausible.
Right.
I mean, you hear all the time on the news about criminal organizations getting away with doing horrific things, and, you know, it may be possible that there's somebody poisoning the water supply in New York City. It's plausible.
Right, and dirty cops and all that, and kind of an escape, because right now we don't have anybody going around and hurting these people who are doing this terrible stuff. So I think, you know, it's kind of nice that he created that in a real life setting, someone who is saving people, who is doing the right thing.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Oh, I just got the Justice League page here. There's nothing on the Justice League movie up here, so.
No, I think they'd be ridiculous to try to do a Justice League movie right now.
Without doing like a Green Arrow movie and a Superman movie and a...
Exactly.
Yeah. Green Arrow movie. I wish I had dibs on that. It's
You
too
do have
bad.
dibs on
I
that.
don't.
That's why I bought Marvel Hero Clicks.
Are you still playing HeroClix? Have you played with Greg at all?
No. I played since the last time you and I played.
With
That was
Greg?
it? That was the last time? Are you rusty?
I'd still put the spanking on you.
Yeah, you wish.
Have you ever? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, multiple times.
Not that I can remember.
The first couple years were a little rough. I was learning. I'm catching up.
Very true, but we're trying to get into something here. As soon as Matt gets those hours, we're going to try to get into HeroClix. It's just, you know, it's tough to find like a community of HeroClix because I think it's like a dying game. Everyone's all into magic and shit.
I don't think it's a dying game. I think that everybody except for you and I are fucking weirdos who play it. There's some weird dudes that
That smell like really
horrible.
bad.
yeah, and they have horrible social skills and like
Man children.
yeah, they're just not interesting people.
They're creepy.
Yeah, where you guys like you're whole people and you just happen to play HeroClix. That's cool.
You're
Like,
not missing something.
yeah, like you like didn't finish puberty or something. Like the mental part of puberty wasn't there for you.
Genius.
Isn't that kind of funny? Like, I understand the stereotype, but like, when I told my sister that we play HeroClix, she was like flabbergasted. She's like, "You're not one of those people. You're not weird and strange." And I'm like, "You don't have to be to like that kind of stuff. It's interesting
Yeah.
and fun." And
Everybody at work, like I told my boss Dave that I play HeroClix, and he's like, "But you're cool." I'm like,
how can that be?
what does that have to do with anything?
You're like, "Yeah, I'm cool, so I play HeroClix."
So you should too.
No shit. Oh man, so crazy.
Well, we have this coffee shop / a comic book shop / game store that we're going to try and start going to.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I really liked the appeal of a coffee shop mixed in with like a comic shop. I had always wanted to see that, and I saw it, and I was like, sweet.
It's here, yeah.
It's
My
like the
brainchild.
it's the sign of coolness because we all know nerds don't drink coffee, so
Do they not?
Yeah.
they don't. They drink. I don't know what they drink. What do nerds drink?
Soda.
Monster.
Yeah, soda. Not Monster.
I don't know, Dakota, what do you drink?
Red Bull.
There you go, that's what they drink.
No,
You heard it
Red
here
Bull is
first.
classic.
Burn on me. Burn on me. For lame.
No, they drink like 44-ounce big gulps.
They do. Holy shit.
Kevin.
That's fucked up.
It's a better value.
Oh, man. And then they spill it all over everything.
And they end up wearing it on their shirt.
And they don't care.
And it's in their hair and they don't care.
They're wearing sweats.
Proper hygiene. But they'll still wear white gloves when they're reading their comic books so they don't muck them up. Comic book hygiene is totally different than personal hygiene.
Oh, shit.
Obviously
held to a much lower regard in that community.
Seems like it. It's like it doesn't matter who you are. You're welcome. Oh man. Anyway, back to Batman.
Back to Batman. Why does Batman suck so much? The age-old question.
NA, not applicable, is the answer.
Because of all movies leading up to Christopher Nolan's, the Michael Keaton Batman sucked. Whoever the dude after that, Val Kilmer,
Val
what?
Kilmer, yeah.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer, then George Clooney.
All of them.
All of them.
Terrible.
What about?
I did not like any of the old Batman movies. I watched them. I was like, okay, that was one too many times to see that movie.
Blasphemy.
I don't know. When I was a kid, I thought it was pretty cool.
I love them still.
I mean, I don't think they're good as like a actual, real Batman movie.
That was before the comic book
They're not a good movie, but they're a good movie.
They're
Is that
fun.
what you're saying?
I used to not like Batman Returns as much, but I've got a newfound respect for it.
Why?
Why?
Well, when I recently bought it, when we got it on Blu-ray, I watched it, and then like I hadn't really sat down and watched it, and I don't know how long, and I got into it. I liked it. It's darker. Danny DeVito is awesome as the Penguin, and I think Michelle Pfeiffer's great as Catwoman too. It's like you can't take those same two characters and then throw them into the new world of Batman that they've got, but I think that movie is awesome for what it is.
Yeah.
Without trying to compare it to, The Dark Knight, which is apples and oranges.
And I can't help but be tainted by the awesomeness of this series. even rolling it over, like, the Avengers had to live up to that standard, and as a movie, it wasn't that. It still wasn't that good. It was a good comic book movie, and I was very excited to see it. But just as a movie, it just hasn't. I don't know. There's no effort to invoke any emotion, if that makes any sense, in typical comic book movies.
I
And
100% agree with you.
And the fact that they did that with a comic book character in The Dark Knight just says something about the genre. And I've noticed in a lot of newer comic books, they're starting to incorporate that same kind of feel to them.
Yeah.
Where you have that depth and you have that story behind the mask. And it's not just these amazing feats these people are doing, it's the person also.
Right. And I think that, looking at the Batman comics, I think that transitioned in Batman quite a long time ago. You look at like Long Halloween and all those, and you can totally see this depth that just wasn't there before. But as always, Hollywood takes forever to catch up. So you're finally seeing a little bit of that in the movies.
And I hope that they keep some of the comic book movies just to be comic book movies. Mm-hmm. But I hope that they come out with other series like this, and an unsuccessful whack at this is, again, the Spider-Man series that just came off as whiny and needy, but to do it tastefully says something about the director, the actors, and anybody who went into writing that movie, and just the movie itself, everybody involved with it.
Yeah, I agree.
The fact that you can take, and I think that may have something to do with the surge in comic book popularity in the mainstream, is because they're stories. They're not just tall tales anymore, if that makes any sense.
It's the new mythology.
They're beginning to mirror mythology, where like you read the Iliad and you read the story of Hercules, and like you have all these amazing feats mixed in with relatable human emotion and relatable human adversity and the way that we deal with these things, and we now have something to kind of mirror what modern masculinity should be, where this image was missing for a long time.
And nowadays we definitely need those superheroes, because we've got so much shit going wrong in the world. It's like, wouldn't it be nice if we can?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we're making them relatable when we portray these stories just makes them seem that more real and that more there, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, Iron Man is fighting terrorists in Iraq. Not necessarily. I don't think they say Iraq in the movie, but
it can be assumed.
He's fighting terrorists
in the Middle East.
Yeah. Batman is fighting crime on the streets. We've got gangs that run around shooting people, dealing drugs.
Dirty cops, all that kind of stuff.
And we got dirty cops, and we have all these things going wrong, and it's an example of you don't have to stand by. You don't necessarily have to put on a cape and go fist to fist with these painful, but you don't have to stand by and take it.
And you shouldn't have to stand by and take it either.
Right. And you know what's funny about Christopher Nolan is he works in so much politics into Batman Begins and The Dark Knight, and kind of makes you think about, well, if we want to change something, there's always this system that we have established to vote these people into office that will change something. And that's very interesting because it has nothing to do with superheroes. I mean, you could say, you know, these politicians who are changing things are superheroes. But, you know, it has nothing to do with the superhero world where people dress up and fight crime. It has to do with fighting crime from the inside. And that's so important.
And just doing right in your day-to-day job.
Yeah, exactly.
And doing your part to not perpetuate the terrible cycle that some people wish to perpetuate.
Exactly. So we can learn something from all these comic book movies people condemn as being
Quote,
childish.
unquote.
Yeah.
And it's not typical comic book movies, and I think it's the modern interpretation of these movies that's doing this. Typical comic book movies are, oh, here's a guy in a suit and he's fucking shit up and end of the movie. Cool. Like, he beat the bad guy, done.
Right.
But there's something else to these new ones that are coming out, and it makes it that much more real.
Definitely.
Indeed. Agreed.
Well, what do you say we wrap you up, Dakota?
All right.
Any last thoughts?
Watch the movie. It's going to be kick-ass. There's no way that he's going to let us down now. He made 2 great movies.
And
No way it's going to let us down now. I'm a believer.
You believe in Christopher Nolan?
I believe in Christopher Nolan. I'm going to wear a button that says that for the movie.
I'm sure they make them.
Well, it's been great talking to you, Dakota.
All right, guys. Well, you guys have a good night, and give me a call after you see the movie.
You got it.
Will do.
Talk to you then.
Possibly the next morning or when you guys get off work so that I have time to see it, too.
Well,
Not
I
at
just
5
quit
in
my
the morning.
job,
I
so
might still
I
do.
can talk to you whenever.
All right.
All right. We will talk to you in a couple days, Dakota.
All right, guys. Stay
See ya.
safe and endeavor.
All right.
See you
Bye.
later.